Thought is the original source of all wealth, all success, all material gain, all great discoveries and inventions, and all achievement. That's a bold statement. What kind of value do you put on good thinking? Has it been a priority in your life? Have you considered thinking to be a decision and discipline to be practiced daily? Here are some reasons to make thinking a priority in your life every day. Good thinking increases your value. Who has the greatest value in any organization? The answer is the person with the ideas. Industrialist Harvey Firestone said, "Capital isn't so important in business. Experience isn't so important." You can get both these things. What is important is ideas. If you have ideas, you have the main asset you need, and there isn't any limit to what you can do with your business and your life. Ideas are what our country was founded on. Ideas have helped to create great companies and to drive our economy, the largest in the world. Ideas are the foundation for everything we build, every advance we make. When a person is a good thinker and has lots of ideas, he or she becomes very valuable. If you're a good thinker, you have a great advantage. Poor thinkers are slaves to their surroundings. People who do not develop and practice good thinking often find themselves at the mercy of their circumstances. They are unable to solve problems, and they find themselves facing the same obstacles over and over again. And because they don't think ahead, they are habitually in a reaction mode. An old German proverb says, "Better an empty purse than an empty head." Good thinkers can always overcome difficulties, including lack of resources. And poor thinkers are also frequently at the mercy of good thinkers. My father required all three of his children to read for 30 minutes every day. Sometimes we chose what we read, but often he selected the reading material for us. Two of the books he asked me to read made a profound impression on me. The first was The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, which I read in the 7th grade. That year, my father also took me to Veterans Memorial Auditorium in Columbus, Ohio, to hear and meet Dr. Peale. That experience shaped my life. Even more impacting than meeting Dr. Peale was reading As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. I read the book in 1961 when I was 14 years old, and it made such an impression on me that I was prompted to make one of my daily dozen decisions. I still have the book. On page 49, Allen wrote, "All that a man achieves or fails to achieve is the direct result of his thoughts." The entire book made an impression on me, but that statement made me realize that my thinking would make or break me. So I decided, I will think on things that will add value to myself and others. If you desire to make good thinking a daily part of your life, consider this. Recognize there are many kinds of thinking. I believe 11 different thinking skills come into play when it comes to good thinking. I wrote about them in detail in Thinking for a Change. Here's an overview of the skills. Number 1, big picture thinking. The ability to think beyond yourself and your world in order to process ideas with a holistic perspective. Number 2, focus thinking. The ability to think with clarity on issues by removing distractions and mental clutter from your mind. Number 3, creative thinking. The ability to break out of your box of limitations and explore ideas and options to experience a breakthrough. Number 4, realistic thinking. The ability to build a solid foundation on facts to think with certainty. Number 5, strategic thinking. The ability to implement plans that give direction for today and increase your potential for tomorrow. Number 6, possibility thinking. The ability to unleash your enthusiasm and hope to find solutions for even seemingly impossible situations. Number 7, reflective thinking. The ability to revisit the past in order to gain a true perspective and think with understanding. Number 8, questioning popular thinking. The ability to reject the limitations of common thinking and accomplish uncommon results. Number 9, shared thinking. The ability to include the heads of others to help you think over your head and achieve compounding results. Number 10, unselfish thinking. The ability to consider others and their journey to think with collaboration. Number 11, bottom line thinking. The ability to focus on results and maximum return to reap the full potential of your thinking. If you recognize that there are many different kinds of thinking, what should you do? Should you try to master all of them? No, I believe that's a mistake. Let's say, for example, that you are a very good creative thinker, but you're weak in bottom-line thinking. Yet you want to master both kinds of thinking. How would you get started? Where would you focus your attention? You could probably work on bottom-line thinking to get it up to average, but that would require a tremendous amount of time, energy, and resources. And what would it take to advance to merely good? It would take even more effort. The higher you try to climb, the more energy it takes to make less progress. No matter how hard you try, you might not ever make bottom-line thinking a strength. What if you gave that time to improving your creative thinking instead? Since you are already good, a moderate amount of time and energy could make you excellent. If you really gave it your all, perhaps you could become a world-class creative thinker. That would enable you to generate ideas and make contributions few others could. That would make you much more valuable and give you a real advantage in your life and career. So what do you do about your weaknesses? Gather people around you who are strong in those areas. That's what I've done for years. In my current season of life, I can hire staff who possess strengths in my areas of weakness. But even before I was the boss, I practiced this principle. For 35 years, my wife Margaret and I have worked as a team to compensate for one another's weaknesses. I've often relied on my brother Larry to help me in the area of realistic thinking, and I've made it a practice to partner with friends who think better than I do in a particular area while I do the same for them. Not having to rely entirely on myself when it comes to thinking has been a real advantage to me. It's easy to allow situations and other people to influence your thinking negatively as well as positively. One of the tricky things about seeking ideas and perspective from others is that some people have an agenda other than helping you. That's why it's important to take responsibility for your own thinking. When I was in my 20s, I began to practice this discipline. Every day, I will set aside a time to think, and I will determine to think on the right things. If you desire to do the same thing, then do this. Find a place to think. I want to encourage you to find a thinking place. When it comes to what works, everybody is different. Some people like to be connected to nature. Others want to be in the midst of, but removed from, activity. My friend Andy Stanley likes to sit alone in a restaurant to think. He says he needs a little distraction. J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter books, wrote her early books while sitting in a cafe. Where you go doesn't matter as long as it stimulates your thinking. Set aside think time every day. As important as finding the right place to think is carving out the time. I do nearly all my best thinking early in the morning, except for reflective thinking. I usually do that in the evenings before I go to bed. That's when I review my day and try to measure how I did with my daily dozen. But all the other kinds of thinking come best to me in the morning. I often wake up in the wee hours and spend time just getting ideas on a legal pad while sitting in my thinking chair. I recommend that you try to discover the time of day when your thinking is the sharpest. Then set aside a block of time every day just to think. I believe you'll find that you're much more productive and focused as a result. Capture your thoughts. I always write down my thoughts. When I'm in my thinking spot, I use a legal pad. The rest of the day, I keep a small leather-bound notebook with me. I even have something to write with next to my bed at night, a small pad with a light attached that illuminates when you remove the pen. That way I can write a note while still in bed without disturbing Margaret by turning on a light. Have a system and use it. Try to improve your thinking every day. It's true that the more thinking you do, the better you become at it, but you can quickly improve your thinking if you do the following on a daily basis. Number 1, focus on the positive. Thinking alone won't guarantee success. You need to think about the right things. Negative thinking and worry actually hinder the thinking process rather than improve it. I believe in this so wholeheartedly that the first book I wrote was a collection of short, uplifting, and instructive chapters. I called it Think on These Things, based on a Bible passage that always inspired me. Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellence and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Focus on the positive, and your thinking will move in a positive direction. Number 2, gather good input. I've always been a collector of ideas. I do a lot of reading, and I continually file the ideas and quotes I find. I found that the more good ideas I'm exposed to, the more my thinking improves. And number 3, spend time with good thinkers. If you were to interview a group of top executives in any profession, you would find that well over half had the benefit of being mentored at some time in their careers. And I believe that the greatest benefit anyone receives in that kind of relationship is learning how the mentor thinks. If you spend time with good thinkers, you will find that the exposure sharpens your thinking.